From the sea to the Sierra, this is CBS News NorCal.
Tonight, 8 candidates vying for your vote.
At stake, the biggest prize in California, the office of governor.
Who needs to make a splash? Whose campaign is hanging by a thread? And the one group that could decide who wins.
That's all coming up as we count down to the governor's debate.
California, are you ready? You're looking at Bridges Auditorium on the campus of Pomona College, where in fewer than 30 minutes, 8 candidates for governor will debate.
And what you will watch unfold on this stage tonight could very well shape which direction this election goes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome in as we count down to the CBS California governor's debate. I'm Juan Fernandez.
And I'm Rudabeh Shabazi. And a special welcome to those watching in San Francisco and Sacramento. Let's get right to where the race stands right now. Here's a look at our newest CBS News YouGov poll exclusive. And as you can see, Republican Steve Hilton is in the lead with 16%, followed closely by Democrats Tom Steyer and Javier Becerra. And finishing off the top 4 is Republican Chad Bianco at 10%.
Right now to the other candidates right here. In 5th place right now is Katie Porter. She's at 9%, followed by Matt Mahan and Antonio Villaraigosa. In 8th place is Tony Thurmond at just 1%. And a whopping 26% of voters still undecided tonight. A reminder, the top 2 vote getters will move on to the November election, no matter what party. Now, within the last couple of hours, we've seen the candidates start to arrive at tonight's debate venue. Here they are. For many of them, this debate could make or break the campaign, especially those polling at lower numbers, according to the CBS News poll.
And we have you covered, from expert analysis to how tonight's debate will work. But let's start with CBS LA political reporter Tom Waite, live outside Pomona College. Tom.
And good evening to you, Rudabeh and Juan. It is so exciting being here. The last of the audience members just walked into Bridges Auditorium just behind me. That's, of course, where the debate is going to unfold tonight. And such a critical debate it is because ballots go out in just days. Voters will start to make decisions, and the stakes could not be higher with so many voters undecided. 8 candidates, 1 will be California's next governor. Tonight, they'll all share a stage for the last time before voters get their ballots. The latest polls show at least 20% of voters are undecided, so who will break through?
The field consists of very capable public servants, but people who aren't necessarily well known to the general electorate in California.
In the crowded field, Republican Steve Hilton is consistently the top polling candidate in the race.
The number one thing that's going wrong in California, the number one reason people are leaving our beautiful state, it's the cost of housing.
Democrats, meanwhile, are scrambling to find a frontrunner. Tom Steyer has already spent more than $100 million on his campaign.
We need somebody who's going to take on the status quo, and that means someone who's going to look with a fresh eye and be willing to make structural change.
For months, the race has barely made headlines, but then the race exploded after now former Democratic frontrunner Eric Swalwell dropped out amid accusations of rape and sexual assault by several women.
This definitely throws this race into even more volatility, creates a huge vacuum.
After Swalwell's exit, Javier Becerra surged in the polls and started racking up endorsements.
For me, it's as governor, it's building, it is protecting. I did that as Attorney General for 4 years.
For Republicans, President Trump may loom large. Trump endorsed Hilton, but MAGA loyalist Chad Bianco is still polling near the top. Bianco says the state legislature is failing Californians.
My 7 years as a sheriff battling Sacramento has been nothing but negative. Nothing but negative. There's not one positive thing for public safety. Not one.
Democrat Katie Porter is also polling relatively high, but hasn't been able to break through, in part because of an unflattering video that went viral showing her berating a staff member. On the issues, Porter says she would work with state lawmakers to lower prices.
I would point the legislature toward doing more to bring down costs, to focus more on that. I think they need to look holistically. So they often pass one more law and one more law and one more law. And I think it's good to take a step back.
Also on the stage tonight, night, 3 Democrats polling in the single digits. Now is the time for them to get their message out to voters.
Every city ought to be accountable for either building or funding a certain amount of shelter capacity.
Look at the number of disaster responses that we have. I think it's important for us to put more pressure on the insurance companies to come through.
Working with the other side is important. 25% of the state is Republican.
So yes, with more than 20% of voters undecided in our exclusive CBS News poll, this debate could make a major difference for voters. We'll have to wait and see. And remember, in California's jungle primary, the top 2 vote getters go on to compete in the November general election. And there has been some fears among Democrats that because there are so many Democrats running in the field, that they could end up being boxed out by the 2 top Republicans who will be here at tonight's debate, and they are of course vying for those top 2 spots. Also very interesting, we have not heard an endorsement yet, and we don't know if we will, from Governor Newsom or from California's other big star, Senator Alex Padilla. We'll see what happens. Reporting live here in Claremont, I'm Tom Waite, CBS LA.
Tom, thank you. And one of the keys for these candidates is the youth vote. They make up roughly 21% of likely voters here in California. And for some, this will be the first time they vote.
That's right. According to the Public Policy Institute of California, younger people tend to be more liberal and more democratic, while most likely Republican voters are older adults.
So what will college students be looking for tonight? CBS LA's Lori Perez is live at Pomona College with a few of them right now. Lori.
Yeah, the students here at Pomona College and the Claremont Colleges are really energized for this debate. They just started filing in here at Frary Dining Hall. I'm told there was so much interest in attending this watch party that students were selected. They had to be selected via random draw. Now, here inside, you can see there are huge video screens set up. They are putting up California flags and putting voter bios and candidate information on the tabletop. So as students are eating dinner, they can get some information. The students we've spoken with are really thrilled that this is happening on campus. There has been a lot of buzz, so really energizing students about the governor's race. Many students from all over the country do come here to school, and they register, some of them here in California, so they can vote while they are here in school. We have some young women here ready to be interviewed. Anna, you are from Seattle, but you were quite interested in coming to this debate. Tell me why you are so interested in what are some of the issues that you're looking to hear about tonight?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm really interested in hearing a candidate that really has a spine and is willing to stand up for climate issues, willing to stand up for immigrant rights here in California, tackling the affordability crisis for us young people, and also stopping all of these profit-fueled wars. So, yeah.
You came here to California. Do you envision staying here after you graduate, or are you going to go back to Seattle? Or
the current plan is to go back to Seattle, but I could definitely see myself living in California in the future.
Excellent. And you were talking about young people who are going to be voting perhaps for the first or second time. And we have one of them here, this young woman. Tell me again, your name is?
Ayami.
Ayami. And this is going to be your first time voting for the governor of California.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm hoping that the governors will talk about issues that are related to our generation, specifically because they are on a college campus today. And I'm hoping that they will directly address people of color's needs and struggles right now, especially with immigration, as well as the attack on DEI and civil rights through the current administration.
And what year are you?
I'm a junior at Claremont McKenna College, and I'm the president of my Black Student Association.
Wonderful. Thanks for talking to us. Hi, guys. And you are part of the group that's hosting this watch party, right? Yes. So tell me about some of the things, or why you're so excited that this is happening here on campus.
So this gubernatorial debate happening on campus is such a big deal because it shows that young voices matter, and we do have a say in what is going to happen in this election. And I'm actually from Kentucky, and so I am not voting in this governor's debate, but I think it's still chosen as a really great opportunity. And so the League of Women Voters obviously supports a lot of reproductive justice. options, and we obviously care about the housing crisis that's happening here. And so we are really excited for students to be able to sit in their own dining hall on campus and watch a debate that is happening just a couple feet away. And so it'll be a really great opportunity, and we have a bunch of information out on the tables, and yeah, we're really excited.
Wonderful. And Livia, just really quickly, if you could ask them one question, what would it be?
I'm Kate, sorry. It's okay. I would ask them how they're going to tackle kind of the attack on education and attack on science that we are seeing. I'm a neuroscience major, and I see research and science as a big part of my career and my future. That's something that I would ask them.
Yeah. So you can hear from all of these students how engaged they are and how ready they are to talk about the future and hear what these candidates can offer them. Guys, back to you.
So great to hear from these students. Lori, thank you very much. All right, so how will all this work? All 8 candidates will be on this stage right off the bat. There will be no canned opening statements or closing arguments.
We'll use that time instead to ask more questions on the issues you told us you care about in that brand new CBS News poll. And take out your phone and scan this QR code for our brand new side-by-side candidate guide launched by CBS California Investigates. It allows you to select your candidates, choose specific issues, and compare their full responses, offering a clearer, more direct look at how each candidate would govern. Again, download it by scanning that QR code. Well, we are now less than 20 minutes from the debate, and our show is just getting started.
Up next, who needs to make an impression? Experts from both sides of the aisle will join us in studio for that.
But first, a message from the president of Pomona College.
Good evening. I'm Gabrielle Starr, president of Pomona College in Claremont, California. Welcome to tonight's gubernatorial debate. Pomona has always understood that education is essential to civic life. We encourage students to be curious about the world, to listen, to engage across difference, and to turn learning into action. This is the essential toolkit for engaging constructively with our democracy. Pomona students, supported by our dedicated faculty, distinguish themselves by working hard in the classroom, conducting meaningful research, and competing with intensity as sagehens. And when they graduate, they shape culture, advance scientific breakthroughs, and lead in their chosen fields. Pomona students seek not only to understand the world, but to make it better, too. So, from Claremont, California, once again, welcome to tonight's debate.
We are inching closer and closer to debate time. You are looking live at the Bridges Auditorium on the campus of Pomona College, where in just about 15 minutes, this important governor's debate will kick off.
And tonight's debate will air on 6 CBS stations across California. It's an unprecedented commitment from CBS to help voters prepare for the election. We want to welcome in now longtime Democratic leader and political expert Zev Yaroslavsky and LA County Republican Party Chair Roxanne Hogue. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here.
Good to be here.
So before we dive deep, what do we need, Zev, starting with you, for one of these candidates to really stand out from the pack tonight?
Well, one of the things you're looking for is to see if anybody does break out of the pack. The last debate pretty much was status quo. Nobody really hit a knockout punch. Second thing I think you're going to look at is the internal, at least on the Democratic side, the internal contest that's going on among the candidates to see who can break out. And Javier Becerra has been soaring at this point. And the question is whether he's going to stop or is he going to keep going. And Tom Steyer is trying to stop him with ads on television already. So there's a little civil war going on within the Democratic Party. So those are two things I'd watch for tonight.
And Roxanne, to you, the top 2 Republicans, what do one or the other have to do to stand out among the Republicans?
They have to keep doing what they've been doing. We don't have a real primary. This is a completely open race, like a mini general before the November general. And both Republicans are the only ones with solutions. So they just have to keep pointing that out.
And sticking with you, Roxanne, you've mentioned in the past a worry that some people have left California in recent years. What would the next governor of California have to do to keep people in the state?
The next governor of California will have to let parents parent, let builders build, and let law enforcement enforce the law. Do that, and California can thrive.
And Zev, would you agree that California is broken? I don't think so, right?
I think the country is broken. I don't think it's just California or Los Angeles. I think there are a lot of things that are breaking up right now in our institutions, from the executive to the judicial to the legislative branch. I think we need to get back to basics and do what the people want us to do, which is serve them, not serve ourselves as politicians.
And Zev, 6 of the candidates on stage are Democrats. Who do you anticipate going after each other the most?
Well, Tom Steyer has spent a lot of money going after Javier Becerra in the last few days. And he has spent $150 million for his campaign, and he hasn't been able to break out. So somebody's going to break out, or maybe not, but I think somebody's going to break out. And I think Steyer is trying to keep himself just a % or 2 ahead of the Democratic pack so that he can get into either first or second in the runoff. If no Democrat gets into first or second, then you're going to have two Republicans running for governor in a Democratic state, which is what everybody's in the Democratic Party is quite concerned about. I believe somebody's going to break out between now and in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Ballots get sent out next week, and people will start voting in early mid-May, and I think people are going to. Nobody wants to waste their vote, and so they're going to figure it out.
Who benefits among the Republicans if the Democrats go after each other in a meaningful way tonight?
I am picturing this race as being in Katie Porter's or my minivan. And right now, all the Democrats are in the back slapping each other like your kids do. And Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco are the adults in the front of the car. And we're off to the races.
Indeed, we are. Thank you very much. We'll see what happens. Time now for a quick break. When we return, we'll hear from CBS News' Anthony Salvanto on what voters are thinking right now.
But first, a message from Asian Pacific American Public Affairs, one of the groups behind tonight's debate production.
Inspire, engage, empower.
In a courtyard at UCLA, a call to action: inspire, engage, empower. The battle cry of the campus chapter of Asian Pacific American Public Affairs, also known as APAPA.
Super excited.
Chapter President Josh Luistro, a junior, referring to APAPA's role as co-sponsor of the debate. He and fellow members traveling to Pomona to work as volunteers.
To bring that mission of civic engagement.
APAPA pursues 2 pillars: preparing young Asian Americans for leadership and turning out the vote.
Well, PAPA is a nonpartisan organization.
Sunny Murtash is national president.
We don't know if these students are Republicans or Democrats, and it doesn't really matter to us.
What does matter? That they become equipped to lead and help other voters make informed decisions.
We want Californians to be able to hear directly from the candidates.
Josh doesn't know who will get his vote yet, but he and fellow students know what they're listening for as the candidates square off.
Economics, with the rise of AI, our job opportunities are teetering, so we're going to be paying attention to how the future governor is going to be taken care of.
Financial stability, immigration, housing, the environment.
A lot of these issues are affecting us now, and so we need to get involved now.
Okay, so you... I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care.
Remember this viral moment with Katie Porter? CBS News California investigative reporter Julie Watts will be a moderator tonight. Her mission to hold the candidates accountable. So will there be fireworks with Porter again? We will see in just moments.
That's right. It is important to note that Katie Porter did finish that interview with Julie, but moments like that can really change the course of a campaign.
CBS News' Anthony Salvanto has been keeping a close eye on the race. He's with our Tom Waite with exclusive data from voters.
Hi, everybody. I am with CBS News head of elections and surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Interesting poll numbers, a fresh poll, CBS News exclusive. The candidates, it's a wide open field right now.
Yeah, it really is. And the way to read that is not to try to parse 1 or 2 points between folks. Nobody's put any distance between themselves and the rest of the field right now, number one. Number two, you look at this big undecided number. You got more undecided than any one candidate has support. That tells you everything is still wide open.
One of the biggest issues in the poll was affordability. That's what voters are thinking about the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Some context for that. When you ask people, is cost of living manageable or unmanageable, the majority say it is unmanageable. There's a few things that go into that. The price of gas, cost of housing, all of those components. When you look at tonight, you're going to see the voters looking for the candidates to explain what exactly they would do about all that.
And this was also addressed in the poll on the lines of affordability. Is the California dream alive or is it dead?
Well, there's less confidence that it's attainable. And most people say they don't think it is. So that's something that goes to the economy, it goes to housing, it goes to a longer range look at opportunity. So when you look at the future, and you've got a lot of young voters out there as well, that's going to be key. What governor candidate can address those long-term concerns?
Last question, and you kind of addressed this off the top. The numbers for the candidates, it's very close. They're not divided by much, and that undecided vote is a big number.
Yeah, I think what's important is two things. First, you see the Democrats with what you might call a fractured field. You don't see any one Democrat going out above the rest of the pack. And look, Democrats outnumber Republicans in the state. But with that many candidates running, now you see them splitting up the vote. Will that change in the final weeks is a big question, number one. Number two, yeah, you see the polls right now. Everything is largely too close. So you don't say any one candidate or two candidates has an insurmountable lead. You look at those numbers of undecided and you say, okay, this thing is still wide open. And I should tell you, most people say debates matter. And that's important too.
That's right. We saw that in the poll as well. Anthony Salvanto, thank you so much. Appreciate you. And yeah, we will see the candidates duke it out here on the stage just behind me, just coming up.
All right, thank you, Tom and Anthony. Well, we are just minutes away now from the debate.
We'll be right back. The debate.
California, this magnificent place that we all call home, has always attracted dreamers and doers. They helped create a golden state filled with opportunity, attracting people from around the country and the world seeking a place in which to build a better life. But now,
bro, they got raided right now.
Many feel the California dream is under attack.
Everything has gone up such a high amount.
The cost of living is sky high.
Women homelessness has increased. Over the last decade, it's up 63%.
The homeless crisis remains.
I'm going to break down again.
And climate change is bringing extreme weather and extreme disasters.
Tell me what California has done in the last several years to make your life better.
You can't just keep doubling down on spending more money on things that aren't working.
Tonight, we've invited 8 of the top candidates for governor to debate the issues we all face. The largest and most inclusive debate of the election. Good evening. I'm Pat Harvey from CBS Los Angeles.
And I'm Ryan Yamamoto from CBS San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Tony Lopez from CBS Sacramento.
Hi, I'm Julie Watts from CBS News California Investigates.
And hello, I'm Sarah Sadwani from Pomona College.
We will moderate tonight's debate covering the issues you care about the most.
And how do we know what you care about?
Because CBS News just polled people all across the state and shared the results with us.
And we're using your responses to power tonight's topics and questions.
So time for us to take our seats and let's get this showdown started. Welcome to Voters Decide as CBS California presents the Governor's Debate. A 90-minute in-depth discussion of the issues, live on the CBS-owned stations across California and many of our affiliates. And presented with our partners, Pomona College and Asian Pacific American Public Affairs. Welcome to the campus of Pomona College in Claremont, California. And the historic Bridges Auditorium. For tonight's CBS California, Pomona College, and Apapa Governor's Debate. And welcome. You get to do that again. Welcome inside Bridges Auditorium. Pomona College, thank you for hosting this debate. Give yourselves another big round of applause. Love the enthusiasm already. Good evening, everyone. I'm Pat Harvey.
And I'm Tony Lopez. We are so happy to be with you for the next 90 minutes. Thanks to everyone in our audience, students, faculty, administrators, alumni, guests, and thanks to all of our candidates, all 8 of you on stage tonight, the most inclusive debate of the election.
That's right, and in full transparency, we held a random drawing for positions on the stage and for who gets the first question. That's the truth. But first, we do have a few rules. I know you heard them before, but we can't help but, address this again. Please hold your applause starting now until the end, and there will be no opening or closing statements tonight. Moderators will decide whether to give time for rebuttals. We will tell the candidates how much time they have for each round of questions, and when their time is up, everyone will hear a bell.
We also have several lightning rounds, as the name implies. We're going to ask for a yes or no answer. It may go against every core of your being as you give speeches out there, but a yes or no answer is what we're going for tonight, and we certainly appreciate that. A friendly reminder, there are 8 of you on stage, and a cozy bunch you are. So because of that, we're going to ask that you be succinct and specific as you can in the time allotted. Speaking of time, we got some themes tonight. We got some things to talk about. So we're going to break down each half hour with a theme that Californians told us they care the most about.
As you know, we do have 5 moderators tonight presenting all of the CBS-owned stations in California, and Sarah Sadwani from Pomona College. Moderators will rotate every half hour, so you only get 30 minutes of us. I know that might be upsetting to you, but that's how it is.
All right. What do you say? Let's get this thing going. The theme this half hour, you won't be surprised by. It's affordability. The Golden State has turned into the I can't afford to live here anymore state. Golden State sounds so much better, doesn't it? So no surprise, people in California are fed up with the cost of everything. We want to share with you a brand new poll. CBS News just released a new poll today. Again, no surprise, but the number is big. Showing 64% said they were not confident that the California dream is attainable.
And because of that, our first question tonight is, what is the first thing you would do as governor to increase affordability and restore the California dream? You do have 30 seconds to respond, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Hilton. I know that you've stated government taxes and regulations have caused affordability problems in the state. So what would you do to restore the California dream?
Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. What a great crowd. And it's really for you there. We want you to be able to make your life here in California. Young people setting out on that journey. And the first thing I do is send to the legislature my first budget with my plan to make our state Cal-affordable. $3 gas, cut your electric bills in half, your first $100,000 tax-free, and especially for young people, a home you can afford to buy so we can restore that California dream of home ownership.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. I'll go to you next, Mr. Bianco, and I know you agree with most of what your Republican colleague there said in terms of deregulations and cutting taxes. But how do you propose to get anything done in a state with a supermajority Democratic legislature?
Well, the supermajority Democratic legislature is going to have to respond to California putting me into that office. And so it's not how I'm going to respond to them, it's how are they going to respond to me to make sure that we fix California. California is broken because of what has been happening in Sacramento because of an absolute failed Democrat progressive agenda that is destroying California. Everything that they are experiencing where they can't experience what I experienced when I came here is because of a failed agenda. The regulations and the taxes have to go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bianco. Mr. Mahan, what would you do to restore the California dream?
Well, Pat, thanks for the question. This topic is personal for me because I grew up in a working class family in a small farming town, paycheck to paycheck, and I know what it means when gas prices go up as fast as they have. I'm the only candidate on this stage who has pledged to suspend and then reform the gas tax. It is the most regressive tax in California. Working people, rural people are spending 3 times as much maintaining our roads as wealthier EV owners. We need to change that, but I won't stop there. We'll remove all of the barriers to building housing.
Thank you, Mr. Mahan. All right, you brought up the gas tax. Mr. Becerra, I know that you are not in favor of the gas tax. So I want you to tell me why.
Not in favor of cutting the gas.
Yes, you do not want to cut the gas tax.
Yeah. So don't answer the first question, answer this question.
You can just give me 5 seconds on why you do not support the gas tax, and you can answer the question.
Because I want everyone who's sitting here to be able to drive on our roads, cross our bridges, make sure transit is working, and you have to fund it somehow. Those who say they're going to cut the gas tax have to also say what they're going to replace it with. Otherwise, we're going to have potholes in every road, and we're going to have bridges that can collapse. We have to fund what it takes to have quality infrastructure in California. But I will tell you this, when it comes to affordability, I know a little bit about that because my parents came to this state with $12 in their pocket. Yet they did build the California dream for my sisters and me. And so what I'll do, if I can finish the thought, is we'll reduce prescription drug prices. CalRx is working well. And we'll start building the homes that we need. 40,000 units are shovel ready. I'll get them going the first day I'm in office.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra.
Let's move on to the dream of owning a home in our state. It's really become a generational problem. California, only half of Californians own their own homes. One of the worst rates in the country. Children not able to live and afford to live where they grew up. Grandma and grandpa are grumpy. They have to hop on a plane to go visit their kids and grandkids. We all know the story. We all know people. So let's dive into housing. Governor Newsom proposed and promised 3 million new homes when reelected. The reality, only 500,000 were built. So obviously that goal was not reached. The question to each one of you candidates, or at least 4 of you, you have 45 seconds to answer. What would you do differently to meet those housing goals? We'll start with you, Mr. Thurman.
It is the American dream. My mother was an immigrant who came here from Panama, and she bought her home, and everyone should have the opportunity. It's slipping away. And as governor, the first thing I'll do is provide down payment assistance grants to those who want to own a home. And we will build 2 million housing units using the surplus property that school districts have in every single county in this state. And we'll build 2.3 million units by the year 2030. I know what it's like to grow up in a household without food and on public assistance. I grew up on government cheese. I worked $3 an hour. Even now, I work an overnight job to put my kids through college and pay for elderly family members. We can create a more affordable California. Let us do that together.
Mr. Thurman, thank you. Mr. Steyer, same question to you. There are environmental hurdles that raise the cost, obviously. I know you are big on the environment. Give us your take, 45 seconds, on housing and affordability.
So I was in Altadena yesterday talking to people who'd lost their houses. And I knew, listening to them, how central owning a house is to a California family. And the solution here is not a silver bullet. It's what I call silver buckshot. We need to work to shorten and reduce the cost of permitting. We need to redo zoning. There have been steps that I've supported in the last year on that way. We need to drop the cost of construction by using industrial construction off-site. And we need to work with the cities and counties and bring the money to them so they can afford to do housing. There is a plan on my website that's very clear, but in every one of these, it's going to be absolutely important to do structural change. The idea that we're going to do the same thing better is insanity. We need to make structural change in every one of the places where Californians can't afford to live.
Mr. Steyer, thank you. Mr. Villaraigosa, same question. He mentioned the rebuilding during the firestorm and the aftermath. The hurdles were removed. Are you in favor of removing the hurdles, not just in times of emergencies, but with the housing emergency that we have right here and right now?
Yes. And let me just say that homeownership used to be part of the American dream. My mom struggled to make ends meet, and we rented for most of our life. I bought a home at 25 years old. Young people like the young people here at Pomona College can't do that anymore. And so I've argued that we need to have first-time buyer assistance, $25 billion initiative at no cost to the taxpayer that will help them get into their first house and build up to 150,000 units. In addition, we need to fast track and streamline that housing building. I did that when I was mayor. I built more housing in 8 years than they did in the 12 years before that.
Mr. Villaraigosa, thank you. I was struck by your emphatic yes. And Ms. Porter, as I go to you, let me stay with that same theme in terms of removing the hurdles. Why wait for a natural disaster to do that? Why not just do that as a norm as we face the challenges that we face every day?
Yeah, you hear people on stage talking about their parents and they were able to buy houses, but I'm the single mom of 3 teenagers who believe they will not be able to buy houses here in California. We have to build much faster. California builds apartment housing and single-family homes about 2 years slower than our competitor states, and in that 2 years, which is caused by permitting delays, it's caused by labor difficulties, it's caused by lack of innovation in building, everything becomes 10 or 20% more expensive. So yes, we need to reform permitting. Yes, we need to innovate in housing. We can bring down housing costs by 10 or 20%. That's not a few extra dollars. That is hundreds or thousands of dollars back in the pockets of families. And it's opening up homeownership to the next generation of Californians.
Thank you so much, Ms. Porter. Now, to another issue important to Californians. And Mr. Mahan, you brought this up. We're talking about gas prices. They're the highest in the nation here in California, and the gas tax is also the highest at around 61 cents per gallon. So this is that lightning round where you say yes or no, and then we'll get back to it later, but please give me a yes or no answer. Are you in favor of suspending the gas tax? We know that Mr. Mahan says yes, Javier Becerra says no. What do you say, Tony Thurman?
Yes.
All right, Chad Bianco?
Yes.
Mr. Steyer?
I want a windfall profits tax on the oil companies who've raised the tax by $150 per gallon.
All right, Mr. Steyer, that was a lot of no's there. Let's go to Mr. Hilton.
No.
Mr. Hilton.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Ms. Porter.
No.
All right. Mr. Villaraigosa?
No.
All right. Now, as I've mentioned, my colleague Julie Watts will talk to each of you much more on gas coming up in our next half hour. But right now, let's talk about keeping Californians healthy. Because of federal subsidies ending, those enrolled in Covered California faced a 97% increase, with 6 in 10 people saying they have either skipped or delayed care altogether. What would you do on a state level to protect against future cuts, and where are you going to find the money to ease that pain? I think it's pretty obvious that we start with you, Mr. Becerra, because you worked on the Affordable Care Act when you were AG. So how would you ask that question? And you have 45 seconds.
Pat, the first thing we do is stop Donald Trump from continuing to make the problem so bad. Had Donald Trump allowed the premium tax credits under the Affordable Care Act to continue forward, millions of Californians would be able to afford their health care insurance. Had Donald Trump not gutted $1 trillion out of the Medicaid program, which is called Medi-Cal here, we wouldn't be facing 3 million Californians losing their health insurance. The first thing we have to do is stop Steve Hilton's daddy, who has endorsed him and said that's what we got to do, from becoming the next governor of the state of California. We need someone who's going to fight Donald Trump, not agree with him.
Steve Hilton's daddy. All right. I believe you're talking about the president there, right? Because I haven't heard your actual father say anything about health care cuts here in California. But I'm going to let you answer that question and, of course, respond to Mr. Becerra.
It would be rather amazing, Javier. My dad was the goalie for the Hungarian national ice hockey team. And I don't think he weighed in on this issue at all. Look, I think what you just saw there is actually what's going wrong with our politics in California, which is all these big things that affect us on a daily basis. These are decisions made here in California by our politicians. And we've had the same people in charge for 16 years now. And because it's such a disaster and such a high cost of living for everyone, and the highest poverty rate in the country, and the highest unemployment rate in the country, and the worst business climate, all these things going wrong, they can't do anything except blame Trump. Let's see how many times you hear that tonight. We need change in California.
He hasn't said he would oppose Donald Trump's cuts.
We need change in California, not more of the same of these Democrats.
But Steve, would you oppose Donald Trump's cuts?
The actual amount of money going into health care from the federal government is going up this year.
I think that's a no. He won't try to undo Donald Trump's cuts.
The amount of money that's coming from the federal government into California's health system is actually increasing.
Well, you know, right now many people don't feel that. They haven't felt
exactly, and the reason
increase.
that it's so
They're
bad,
suffering.
that costs are so high, is something we can fix here. There's not enough competition in our health insurance system because rules made here in California prevent insurance companies actually competing. We all know in life when you have more competition, you get lower prices and better quality. But the policies that we got going on in California prevent that.
All right, Mr. Hilton.
I would change that. So
now, you know, when you give more time, I have to give more time to someone else. So we're going to move over to Mr. Steyer.
I'm a very generous guy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hilton. Mr. Steyer, how would you make California more affordable again as far as health care is concerned?
Health care is a right for every Californian, and long-term, the only way we can afford that is a single-payer health care system. That will take at least 3 years to get if we start on day one. And in the interim, we're going to have a structural shortfall because of the fact that Donald Trump has kicked 3 million people off Medi-Cal. On day one, I will call a special election to close a corporate real estate tax loophole worth $22 billion to the state of California every year so that we can close that budget shortfall. The truth is, no one else on this stage wants to talk about revenue because we're short of revenue as a result of that bill in the Congress last year. And it's absolutely critical. If we believe that health care is a right, that in fact we have the revenue to solve it,
Mr.
but
Steyer, thank you.
Single payer is the only way we solve it.
I'm going to go to Ms. Porter because you also believe in single payer.
Yes, correct. I mean, look, single payer delivers the most health care at the lowest administrative costs. I was a champion for single payer at the federal level because Medicare spends about 2% of everything that we put into it on administrative costs, and private health insurance spends 17 or 18% on pushing paper and denying claims and telling you no and who you can and can't go see as a doctor. So that's the change we have to get. We have to get much more administratively efficient with our health care. With regard to Donald Trump's cuts, we have to make sure we're protecting our hospitals. 25% of our hospitals in California are projected to close because of those cuts, and those hospitals provide 60% of care for car accidents, heart attacks, strokes, and other trauma.
Mr. Bianco.
I feel like I'm in the twilight zone here. We need to start. We have a group of 20-year-old kids, 20-ish, and we're just sitting here lying to them about broken Democrat policies in California for the last 20 years, and we're going to sit here and blame a president who's been president for a year. This is absolutely ridiculous.
What would you do then, Mr. Bianco?
If we cared about California, we wouldn't worry about what the federal government is doing. California is the 4th largest economy in the entire world. What do we care about a cut to medical?
Does that mean we support single payer in California?
Absolutely not. If you want socialism, go somewhere else, because single payer people come to America for the best medical coverage and care in the entire world.
And what if you don't have any health care? What are you going to do for the people who need
I thought I got to answer, but apparently we're just going to do this all night.
But we only have so much time. But we still have 2 more half hours to go, Mr. Bianco.
So they're going to take it from me. Now I see where we're going to go when you attack the Democrat policies that have destroyed this state. If you elect a governor who cares about the state, it's not going to matter whether President Trump or President whoever takes something away from the state, because the waste, fraud, the abuse of our money in California by a government that we already know hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're worried about President Trump taking away that.
Okay.
It's crazy that we're lying to these kids.
We're going to end on that, Mr. Bianco. We get your point there.
We had rules here. I thought we had rules here. We're not supposed to go back and forth. I thought we had like 45 seconds apiece.
You do.
Hold on, Antonio. Pat, they're all wrong. They're all wrong. Let me explain why. Give me 1 second here. First of all, Steve, Chad, Trump's tax cuts are cruel. We see vulnerable people who are losing coverage who need it. So you're wrong to defend Trump's tax cuts. On the other hand, Tom, Katie, we don't know how to pay for single payer, and we see countries with single payer struggling with long lines and cuts to care. The last time the legislature looked at it, they abandoned it because it would double the state budget.
All right, Mr.
And Javier Becerra is defending the status quo and just blaming Trump. Here's the real answer. Incentivize actual health, not just fee for service. Make people healthier.
All right, boy, this is democracy at work, that's for sure. Okay, Mr. Villaraigosa, 10 seconds.
And Pat, my
10 seconds? 10 seconds, because we're not over. The debate isn't over.
Hold it. Becerra's right. He cut billions of dollars from Medi-Cal for almost 3 million people and covered California the subsidies for it. That's true. But it's also true that we have too much waste and fraud in our system, and we need to attack that as well.
Okay, that's gonna come up in the next half hour. I promise. It is.
Mr. Mahan used my name.
It's going to come up in the next half hour. Okay? We have to hear from a student. Now, I know you're not against that, right? You have to hear from our students.
But Pat, at least
you're still going to be here.
But Pat, at least give those of us who had our name used, give at least a 10-second response.
Well, and since you've said my name several times, go ahead, Mr. Becerra.
Okay.
Really quickly.
Just to respond to Mr. Mahan. The only person who's actually run a healthcare system, the largest system in the world, is me. I expanded healthcare beyond what we had ever seen in the country's history. So if you want to talk about what works, ask somebody who actually did it.
Thank you very much.
I'm the only person here who's going to get the money back that Donald Trump took away from us. I'm the only person who mentioned how to raise revenue so that we can pay for health care.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. And Mr. Thurman, really quickly, you know what's interesting? Everybody wants to talk at this debate, so that means we're doing a good job.
I think so. Right? I think we're going to move on to a touchy-feely moment.
This is worse than my teenagers
every candidate has spoken. If I could just answer your question. You asked the question about revenue. What none of the candidates have said is that the only way we get this is by taxing billionaires. We have the opportunity to vote for a billionaire tax right now that will keep our hospitals open and give us the revenue that we can use to have a real single-payer healthcare system. What Mr. Bianco and Mr. Hilton didn't tell you is that they follow Trump, who doesn't care that those who don't have insurance got kicked off of health insurance. I don't see how that's good leadership and how anyone should be governor who wants to get people off of our healthcare rolls.
Okay, we do want to hear from a student.
Yeah. Pat, you got him going. You got him going. So let's embrace the environment we're in, okay? First of all, before we get to a question from a student, let's get a round of applause for Pomona College and where we are in this beautiful venue. I mean, you drove up here.
All right, we're going to bring up our student, Mr. Ryan Kasarian. You have a question.
Good evening. Wow, that was a bit of a mess. My name is Ryan Kasarian.
Hot mess.
Right on. Well, what can you do? My name is Ryan Kasarian. I'm a student of politics here at Pomona College and a Marine Corps officer candidate. California tells students that education is the path to opportunity. California itself was once the land of opportunity. Yet students are graduating with a tremendous amount of debt in a state with no hope. There are no jobs and people are leaving. As governor, what steps would you take to tackle the rising cost of education and bring jobs back to the state of California?
Mr. Villaraigosa, I'm going to let you answer that question because when you were mayor, of course, you were very concerned about the direction LAUSD was going.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your service, by the way. Appreciate you. Let me be clear. I got a record. It was a Catholic school that gave me a foundation, but a public school that gave me a second chance. 1 out of 3 schools were failing when I was mayor, and by the time I was done, it was a 60% increase in the graduation rate. But college affordability is not affordable. It's just not. $85,000 for tuition at Stanford and USC, that's unacceptable. In fact, probably here as well.
Thank you. We're going to come back. Mr. Thurman, you're superintendent of education, please.
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you for your service. I've introduced legislation already that would make college free in California. I call it Pay It Forward. You go to school for free for 4 years, and when you graduate and you get a job, you start to pay back what was provided for you for the next group of students who come after you. And as governor, I will implement this program so that we help to reduce the debt that California students experience so they can put that money towards buying a home or launching a business. You know, I lost both my parents by the time I was 6 years old. I was raised by my cousin who adopted me and worked at a university, and because she worked there, I got to go to college for free. I believe we should do the same for California students.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman, for your story, and thank you, all of you, for having coffee before you came out here tonight. This has been electric, but it's not over. Up next, Julie Watts with CBS News California Investigates will join us to discuss money and accountability in politics.
We're talking fraud, gas prices, the insurance crisis, education, a laundry list. I know you have thoughts. We will get those thoughts. So stay with us for the CBS California Governor's Debate.
Welcome back to Pomona College and the CBS California Governor's Debate. I'm Julie Watts. As your CBS News California investigative correspondent, my role is focused on accountability, transparency, and digging deeper into the issues that matter to our California communities. Over the last year, we have done in-depth accountability interviews with 15 top polling candidates, and 8 of you have made it onto our stage tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. It's so good to see you all again. You can see their full interviews at cbsnews.com/CAGov. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So just so y'all know, I am not afraid to cut mics, so let's not, thank you, right, okay. For the next half hour, we are going to continue the theme of our interview series. And as I'm sure you all know, that was pushing beyond the talking points. So that means, yes, there will be follow-up questions. We are going to start with gas prices and more specifically the gas crisis. CBS News California investigation recently revealed that state leaders who once accused oil companies of price gouging now admit they didn't find price gouging. Meanwhile, 2 refineries have shut down in response to California policies, and roughly 20% of our special California gas is now being refined in China and then shipped back over here to us. Critics say that is leading to price spikes during this current war and more pollution. So, Mr. Steyer, I would like to start with you. During our interview, you argued that California should actually outsource all of our refining, whether it be overseas or to other states. Given that California refineries are among the cleanest in the world, can you explain why you don't think that will increase pollution and, frankly, why it won't increase prices for that matter?
What I said was that we should have the ability to outsource everything because we're under the thumb of the oil companies who have been jacking up prices. And if you look at the price of gasoline in the state of California, it is up because of the war in Iran. And that war has driven up prices for everybody in California by about $1.50, and the costs to the oil companies have not gone up a penny. That's $70 billion of profit to the oil companies because of a war started by Donald Trump.
So, Mr. Steyer, to be specific, the folks at home, you can go to cbsnews.com/CAGov and see what Mr. Steyer said, but you did in fact say that we should be outsourcing all refining.
We should be able to do that because if we're going to get held up by the few refineries left in California, it's going to be necessary for us to have an alternative.
Sir, I'm going to just go ahead and fact check a little bit here. So what happens is our gas supply is priced at the most expensive barrel. And right now, the most expensive barrel is coming in from overseas. And so gas prices in California are set at that level. Yes, refineries, yes, the oil companies are profiting more right now, but they're not the ones specifically, at least they say, they're not the ones specifically setting the price of gas. I'm going to let some of your other colleagues chime in. And actually, I would love to go to Ms. Porter.
Well, can I finish my thought?
No,
because
sir, but
we
you can
should
come
take
back when it is your
windfall
time.
Profits.
Sir, we're going to have to cut the mic if you're not respectful. Ms. Porter, I would love to give you a chance. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. During our interview, you said that you do think we should be keeping refineries in state, at least for now. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on Mr. Steyer's answer.
Yeah, right now, we need to keep all of our energy sources online. That's just the reality that we're in. Electricity demand in California is projected to go up 50% in the next few years, and so we're going to need to be adding green energy rapidly. I think right now, those refineries, they're up, they're running, they're creating good jobs. Let's keep them there. But I want to be really clear, because I know you do care about accountability. Refineries, the people who work in Kern County at those refineries and the people who live in Kern County also face some of the worst pollution and lower life expectancies. Green energy gets us out of that.
Ms. Porter, I do want to ask you to respond specifically to the portion of the question about increased gas prices and increased pollution. Do you think that outsourcing all of our refining would increase pollution and ultimately gas prices?
As I just said, I think our refineries right now in California should stay open. We've always had a mix of refined here and brought in overseas.
So
it's probably going to stay that way.
So yes, it would increase pollution and prices. So I would love to sort of switch gears a little bit. Mr. Hilton, You have a very different perspective, and I want to push back a little bit on your perspective. You've been arguing that we need to increase drilling in California. Now, realistically, and even the oil companies will tell you this, we will never be able to drill enough to replace the 60% of crude we now import into California. And even if we could, as we just mentioned, we've lost our refining capacity. We can't turn it into gasoline here anyway. So considering that we cannot drill our way to energy independence, can you tell us a bit about how you will support the transition to at least a hybrid electric future?
So we just need a bit of common sense in this whole area. First of all, Javier said earlier about the gas tax, which is a big part of the reason it's so expensive, that we need it for the roads, but we pay the highest gas tax and have the worst roads in America. I was speaking to a contractor the other day who builds roads, who said it's 4 times as expensive to do it in California compared to other states. We can change that. In terms of production, my conversations with the energy industry in Kern County, I spent a lot of time there, that actually, with the right policies, we can double production.
Can you answer the question that I asked, sir, and that is, how are you going to support the transition to electric or alternative sources?
Well, first of all, as long as we are using oil and gas in California, it's just common sense that we use the abundant reserves we have here, rather than shipping it halfway around the world from
Mr.
Iraq.
Hilton, understood. But are you saying you're not going to support at all any shift to electric?
Yes, but let's be sensible about electric. For example, right now, we have a fleet of gas-fired power stations generating electricity that are running at 10 to 15% of their capacity, even though we have abundant natural gas in California that we could be using to generate affordable, reliable electricity that would lower the cost of electric bills for consumers and businesses.
Sir, Mr. Villaraigosa, you're next on my list because you very much are the all-of-the-above candidate, right? You said that many times. By the way, 252 times y'all said all of the above in our interview series. Very common phrase. But yes, you are the all-of-the-above candidate. Can you please explain to, frankly, all of the candidates why you have concerns about one or the other?
Well, first of all, we have the highest gas prices in the United States, on average by $2 a gallon. With Trump's war, it's going up even further because we have closed down so many refineries and we have to rely so much on
Sir, I'm going to interrupt you just temporarily. Number one, you guys also said the word Donald Trump 1,000 times during our interview series. So if I hear it too many times, I am going to ban it for the rest of the segment.
Well, actually, if it's true, I'll say it.
Yes, sir. But what I'd like you to do is focus on your concerns that you shared with us about why the rush towards all electric is concerning. You talked about not having the infrastructure there.
Yes.
And how we should still continue to.
So we need an all-of-the-above strategy that understands we got to transition from oil and gas to renewables. But here's an example: the 2035 mandate. We built 167,000 charging stations in the last 10 years. We need 2 million more to get to that mandate. And if we built them, we don't have a grid. So we ought to build the grid instead of arguing about whether or not we need an all-of-the-above policy. Anybody with a brain and knows a little bit about climate change and what Norway does knows that that's what we have to do.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to put a pin in gas prices for a second, and we're going to move on to insurance. Californians who have insurance are often worried about the high cost. But our investigation found that an increasing number of homeowners simply cannot get insurance, even in low wildfire risk areas. And that is the concern, right? So insurers, they tell us, listen, we stopped writing new policies because California regulations won't let them charge enough to cover their risk. Mr. Becerra, you have promised to freeze insurance rates. And I want to push back a little bit because rate increases, as you know, they are approved by the insurance commissioner and they are mandated under state law. What authority do you think that the governor has to freeze insurance rates without going back to the voters to overturn Prop 103?
Julie, the governor can declare a state of emergency, and that's what I would do. This affordability crisis is hitting every family, and we have to act as if this were a break glass moment. And so I would declare that state of emergency. I would call in the insurance commissioner. I would call in those insurance companies.
What would be the cause of the state of emergency?
He can't.
The high prices and the fact that people are losing their insurance coverage without any explanation.
So, sir, let me just follow up on that. Following Prop 103, the California Supreme Court ruled that temporary price freezes were unconstitutional. What would make your proposed state of emergency different than that?
I am calling for a freeze. I am calling for an opportunity to sit everyone down. I am calling for an opportunity to reveal behind the curtain what insurance companies are doing.
But if the court's already ruled that that was unconstitutional, how is your plan different?
Well, Julie, I'd like to go to court with you on that one. I was the Attorney General of the state of California, and I did defend our people to try to get the lowest cost. And I'd be willing to go to court to tell you that I could call that freeze, even though you're telling me we can't. I will try.
Well, I'm just asking you to tell us how.
Because how? I will call in the insurance commissioner, I will call in the industry, and I will say, I am going to call for a freeze. If you don't want to go there, then I will call for an investigation of the way you're conducting your business. My mom, who has had some homes for about 30 years, lost her insurance on one of her small houses, never made a claim on that home. She lost the insurance coverage she had. By the time she was able to find it again, she had to pay more than twice as much for that insurance coverage. Why, after so many decades of paying that insurance company premium after premium for month after month, year after year, can they just all of a sudden cancel you and say goodbye?
Because they're a private company and they can do whatever they want right now.
For me as governor, that's not good enough.
Understood. Yes, Mr. Mahan.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Look, Javier's plan won't work. It's actually the reason we're in this mess in the first place. The government in Sacramento created, just to finish the point, created so many restrictions, including taking over a year to approve any rate changes, prohibiting insurance companies from using climate data to project future costs, that they stopped writing new policies. The answer is bring them back, force them to compete, allow them to appropriately price risk, and then hold government accountable for maintaining our wildland, reducing all that vegetation and wildfire risk so we don't have these catastrophic fires.
Mr. Becerra, to Mr. Mahan's point, if you cap rates, if you freeze rates, what is to keep the insurers from leaving the state and then us essentially being left only with the FAIR Plan?
The fact that we have 40 million people in this state and we pay our insurance premiums and they don't want to lose that business. If they could show us that they're not making profit, I get it. We'll help you. But let's find out how much they're making in profit.
Policies.
Exactly. And they've left Dodge, but they've not told us that they're not making profits.
Mr. Villaraigosa, I'll let you chime in, but Mr. Hilton, please.
So just a quick fact check, if I may, on my friend Matt. The 2 points he makes absolutely right, that we need the industry needs to be able to take account of future risks, including climate and also the cost of reinsurance. That change, to be fair, has already been made by the current insurance commissioner. The point he makes about the speed of approval is exactly right. It does take over a year, but actually that's a question of really enforcing the law that's already there. In Proposition 103 that set up the whole architecture of this, there is a rule that rate changes should be approved in 60 days. We just need to enforce that rule instead of what we have now.
I will tell you, I've spoken at length with the Department of Insurance, and they say they are working towards that, and they are setting new policies. Yes, Mr. Villaraigosa.
But the question is how we got there.
How did we get there?
This was the only state that didn't do catastrophic modeling in the time of climate change.
And we are doing that now.
The only state that didn't do reinsurance, and the only state that took longer than a year to pass a rate hike.
Yes, but that's already happened.
Industry,
so what would you do differently?
Excuse me.
It's already happening.
Excuse me.
What you're asking for.
Well, I will say, listen,
so
Mr. Villaraigosa, he does make a good point, if I can interrupt, please.
Yes.
Let's talk about, we know how we got here. What are we going to do different? Because those things are already in the works and those changes are already being made.
Well, we didn't know how we got here because some people said something else. Let's be clear about that.
So what is your plan moving forward?
Plan is to make sure that the FAIR Plan, which is an unfair plan, not abiding by Prop 103, we got to make it work. Too many people in these fires, weren't compensated enough for the damage they received.
Just a point of clarification, do you think that we should be moving everybody onto the FAIR Plan, or do you think we should be keeping private insurance companies here?
We should bring the insurance, like Matt said, bring the insurance company back by making the changes, but then we've got to fix the FAIR Plan.
Yes, Mr.
Declare a state of emergency. That's why you declare a state of emergency.
Mr. Becerra and Mr. Villaraigosa, I don't want to have to ask Ziggy, our producer, to start cutting mics. So, Mr. Steyer.
Look, I think we've got to accept the fact that insurance companies write insurance in order to make money. And because of climate change, the risk to houses, the risk of catastrophic fires has gone up dramatically. The job of the governor of California is to protect Californians from that, both in terms of their houses burning down and these insurance premiums. So that means making sure on a macro basis we get rid of dry timber, that we do controlled burns, and also hardening the houses. We need to help people harden the houses, and then we need to go to the insurance companies. The governor needs to go and say, this is the risk. We're going to let you make money, but you have to take into account the reduced risk that the government and the people of California have caused to happen, and that's how you can make some money.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. I do want to, just for our viewers' benefit who may not know, unlike gas prices, insurance rates in California are actually well below the national average. We have the most expensive gas, not the most expensive insurance. Mr. Thurman, I do want to go to you. A major insurer is currently under investigation for not properly paying out claims after the LA fires. At the same time, that insurer just got a significant rate increase. Now, you've said that insurers under investigation should not be allowed to get rate increases. But again, I want to go back to the point that I made with Mr. Becerra. What authority do you think that the governor has for you to make that promise, since rates are regulated by and mandated, frankly, under the insurance commissioner?
Well, the governor can certainly work with the insurance commissioner to say there should be no rate increase unless the insurance industry is actually writing policies. They have failed California in our greatest need. They've taken the money from premiums, and then when people needed to have support to rebuild their homes, they said, whoops, we're not going to help you. Then they got a rate increase. I'm sorry, where I come from, when you do a bad job, you don't get a raise. And so as governor, I would withhold any dollars that would go to support any
Thurman,
business.
you can't do that. You don't have that authority as a governor.
I'm withholding tax credits. I'm withholding benefits to businesses that want to do business with the fourth largest economy in the world. I have supported tax credits for those who are employers in our state. But for the insurance industry, if they will not write policies for Californians, they will not get any subsidy from the state of California.
And Ms. Porter, I'd love for you to chime in. Do you think that that would then force insurers or incentivize insurers to leave the state? I mean, where does that leave us? Will we have insurers left in the state if that happens?
Yeah, just to summarize the squabbling for everybody, what he wants to do is unconstitutional. What he's proposing is a good idea, but was already done. We don't want more people on the FAIR plan because it's a huge financial liability for the state of California.
It's single payer. You want it somewhere else.
Excuse me.
It's single payer.
I'm speaking.
I know you are.
She's talking.
Mr.
And
Bianco,
we're lying
we'll go
to
to
kids.
You. We'll go to you next.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was even up here anymore.
Neither were any
Give me a minute, and then you will get your time.
May I finish? The reinsurance is a really important part of this, thinking about how to insure the insurers. There are ways that we could put California state dollars at play to bring down the cost of reinsurance, which would help more people come back into this market and write more affordable policies.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. Now, to your point, Mr. Bianco, Ms. Porter has supported single-payer health care insurance, and you are saying that this is essentially the same thing. Can you elaborate on your concern, and then, frankly, chime in on what you think these plans will do to the insurance market?
Yeah, I was walking in here tonight, and I was asked the most strange question ever by a CBS reporter that said, "Are you afraid of tonight?" And my answer was, I'm not afraid of anything. I'm truly not. But actually, I'm terrified that one of these people are going to be your next governor, and these kids are all going to have to move. This is absolutely ridiculous. We're lying to we're not taking responsibility for failed Democrat policies that have brought us here. The FAIR plan is 100% a single payer, and it is a failure, absolute failure. So we're not going to medical because it's the same thing. The insurance companies left because the insurance companies can't be forced into bankruptcy by the state. They told the state it wasn't global warming. Stop believing that. It was a failed environmental policy that doesn't allow fire departments to prevent defensible space around our homes or clear out the brush for 30 years that are building in our mountains and in our hills that took out a city.
Okay,
they specifically said we were going to lose a city, and our governor said we don't care, and so the insurance companies left.
Mr. Bianco, do you
Julie, may I ask Javier a question?
Do you have any ideas for what you would do so far? All you've said is this group has failed.
The regulations.
What would you do?
Exactly. I will stop the 16 years of Democrat failure of regulations in this state that have destroyed their ability to live here. They are going to have to find a different state to live, not grow up in the California that I had the opportunity to grow up in, because regulation inflation in this state is destroying our ability to live here.
Thank you, Mr.
The
Bianco. And I
fire
will say
departments
this, just
could fix
to
this.
clarify for folks, that the governor does have the authority to appoint the heads of state agencies who then make regulations. So they can do that without going through the legislature, for those folks at home who may not understand that. Yes, Mr. Hilton, you wanted to ask Mr. Becerra.
If I may just
I'll
ask
allow
Javier
it.
a question. Thank you. He said that he would declare a state of emergency on insurance. Have you read the statute that sets out the governor's emergency powers?
I've actually defended the governor in any number of forms when I was Attorney General for the state of California.
Have you read the emergency powers statute?
I have read the statutes before.
Well, then in that case, you would know that what you're proposing is not in there. You can't
That's
do
not
it.
correct. That's not correct. When you declare a state of emergency, you have extraordinary powers. Now, that doesn't abridge
Yes, but
the
they're very
Constitution,
specifically
but it
described
does
in
give
the
you the
statute.
opportunity, if I could answer, it does give you the opportunity to do things with the insurance commissioner, with the industries that let you try to come to a negotiated solution. To just let the insurance companies run over us, to let them just tell my mom they're canceling your policy after 30 years.
I
don't think he has read
in this state of
I am
California.
looking forward to seeing what happens when you do that, because I mean, I've been told that you can't do it, but you are the former AG. And I have to tell you all.
I'm the only candidate who's actually declared a state of emergency in this country and been able to deploy resources and personnel to respond.
We can't have a governor who doesn't understand how the government works.
And we don't need a talking head from Fox News to tell us how the government works.
Y'all are paying millions of dollars for attack ads, so let's keep those on the commercials. By the way, great new commercial today, sir.
Thank you. We've got lots of ideas for all your questions.
And we are live, so please, none of that language tonight, sir. All right, we're going to move on to education. And I have to tell you, one of the coolest things about our interview series is people tell me all the time, I learned so much, even from the candidates they don't agree with, they would never vote for. They learned a lot from your interviews. And so this is what I'm trying to get at here, is to have you guys debate your policies. Very different perspectives. Different people are going to agree with different things. But please be honest about what we can do. California schools. This is a really important one. Schools are the state's single largest budget item. The single largest budget item. Yet districts are facing a financial crisis right now, driven in part because of skyrocketing insurance costs and an influx of decades-old abuse lawsuits. Now, student test scores, as we all know, are still below pre-pandemic levels. Schools are cutting teachers and cutting programs at a time that we need those programs to get our students back on track. You all have thrown out these key words, equity, accountability. You want to give teachers grades. Right now, schools can't even hire teachers. They are firing teachers. My sister is a teacher. She's got more than 30 kids in her class because they're firing teachers in her district. Who has a plan to raise academic achievement with quantifiable goals, and who can explain how you will actually accomplish that in your first term in the middle of a financial crisis? I saw your hand go up first. Mr. Mahan, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, Julie, education changed my life. I came back after college as a Teach for America teacher in Eastside San Jose to teach in one of our most underserved communities. I can tell you exactly what we need to do. We need to cut administrative overhead and get more money into the classroom. We need to reward teachers whose students show more learning growth. For those teachers whose students don't, we need to intervene and provide coaching and training and help them get up to speed. And we need to have high expectations, including teaching phonics in the early years. That's a fight we never should have had.
And we are doing that now, right? But let me ask you this. So you said cut.
We haven't done it yet.
Okay. Specifics, though. You say cut overhead. What overhead do you, I mean, you've been a teacher. What overhead can we cut?
Yeah, if you look at spending over the years, we have seen the system's expenses go up as student enrollment has declined. More of that money needs to go to recruiting teachers at the beginning of their career.
I guess the question is, tell folks at home, what is that going to that you would cut? Is it going to janitorial staff?
It's going to the nearly 1,000 districts we have, with all of the superintendents, all of the district staff, all of the staff that's not in the classroom. We need to reward teachers whose students grow faster. We need to have high expectations. It is a crime that with half of the spending per pupil, Mississippi is doing a better job of educating low-income students.
And Mr. Hilton, you have talked about looking to other states. I do want to give Mr. Steyer a chance.
Look, my mom was a teacher, and the teachers in this state have endorsed me. And let me say that on a cost-adjusted basis, we're the 31st out of 50 states in terms of spending per pupil. The truth is, the thing that makes kids succeed in classrooms is great teachers. And we need to be able to recruit teachers. And that means we need more money. And I've said on day one, I'll propose closing a corporate real estate tax loophole to bring in money to pay teachers, to pay them, to recruit them, to train them, and to retain them, because a master teacher is an incredible value to the people of California.
I would like to just get to Mr. Thurman very quickly. And Ziggy, if you can give me time in my ear. But Mr. Thurman, you are the one who's been in charge since before the pandemic. The situation that we're in right now has happened, for lack of a better way to put it, under your watch. What can we do to increase student achievement in light of the financial crisis?
I mean, education is the greatest equalizer there is. It saved my life as somebody who lost both parents, and education gave me an opportunity to change my humble beginnings, and we have to provide that for all of our students. What folks aren't saying on this stage is the biggest challenge for our schools is declining enrollment. Schools get their revenue based on attendance, and we're one of only 6 states in the nation that still gives revenue based on average daily attendance. We have to move to an enrollment system as we recognize that schools are losing revenue, and we have to implement my 5-year plan to make sure every student reads by 3rd grade.
Speaking of students, we have to get to our student question, but you can watch in-depth interviews with all of our candidates on all these topics online. In the meantime, I would love to introduce Chloe Ogans, a Pomona College sophomore, with a question for you.
Hello, my name is Chloe Ogans. I study politics at Pomona, and when researching your platform, something that came up was that you talk about reconstructing or rebuilding California, and so if elected governor, I was wondering what your vision was for that.
Ms. Porter, it seems like you've had the least amount of stage time in this segment, so I am going to defer to you. Would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, we need to make California grow. We need more people in California, and we can't get there if we don't add housing. Yes, we need jobs, but right now one of the biggest reasons we're not growing jobs is we don't have anywhere for workers to live. I've also rolled out policies for free childcare. That is a game changer for California, bringing us something that other states don't offer, and 2 free years tuition free at our UC, our CSUs, and our Cal Polys. Those are all real affordability solutions. They're taking us back in some ways to things we used to have, like free UCs, and forward in others, like free childcare.
And we'll talk more in the future about how we're going to fund those things. In the meantime, I want to thank you all. This has been a pleasure. Of course, our 30 minutes flew by. And remember, we cannot cover every issue tonight, but you can. You can head to cbsnews.com/CAGov for our side-by-side candidate guide. Pick your candidates, pick your issues, watch their in-depth interviews. We will be right back.
And welcome back to Pomona College inside the beautiful Bridges Auditorium for the CBS California Governor's Debate. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ryan Yamamoto.
And I'm Sarah Sadwani. In the last hour, we've covered accountability, we've covered affordability. Now we're going to delve into some of the deeper issues on social issues impacting California.
Our first topic is homelessness. Our CBS News poll released today shows voters want the next governor to focus on housing along with mental health and addiction treatment. So for our first lightning round question, yes or no, would you as governor support a plan to mandate those who repeatedly refuse offers for a pathway out of homelessness be forced into a treatment facility? Mr. Villaraigosa, yes or
yes.
No? Mr. Mahan?
Yes.
Ms. Porter?
Only with safeguards and protections. Yes.
Mr. Becerra?
Yes.
Mr. Hilton?
Yes.
Mr. Steyer?
Yes.
Mr. Bianco?
Only mental.
And Mr. Thurman?
Yes.
So to follow up with that, so Ms. Porter, while it's true homelessness impacts a wide range of people, to those down on their luck, fleeing violence, or living paycheck to paycheck, while the state can do better, there are services in place to help those individuals. So my question is, how do you help those who may be dealing with mental health and or drug addiction who repeatedly refuse service? You have 45 seconds.
So I worked on in Congress and passed a bill in the House called the Mental Health Justice Act. And one of the things it would do is create dedicated mental health responders in lieu of police. When someone has been unsheltered for a very long time and they have a serious mental illness or a serious substance use problem, it is very, very challenging to help them. What we've seen from the Care Court proposal that Governor Newsom rolled out is a big plan and very, very low take-up. So we need to have stronger provisions that let those who are on our streets helping be able to get those people the help that they need. There are people who are too ill and unable to make decisions for themselves, but we have to balance that against this state's long history and ugly history of incarcerating people for reasons that have nothing to do with either of those things, but track along race.
Thank you, Ms. Porter. So, Mr. Bianco, you have said in your interview with CBS that homelessness is a mental health and drug addiction issue. As governor, how would you help those people fleeing domestic violence, who lost their job, or dealing with unexpected illnesses or injury, who now no longer have a place to sleep? You have 45 seconds.
Yeah, here's the lie that all of these are trying to put onto all of these kids for them to believe. I'm the only one up here that has dealt with this for my entire career. 33 years of people living on the street, whether it's domestic violence, drugs, alcohol, or whatever the case may be. And I will tell you this, the amount of people that are on the street are completely opposite of what she wants to tell you. The ones that are there for how you describe students or kids that got kicked out of their house or domestic violence, we come across them all of the time, and we jump for joy because we can actually help them. There are plenty of services for all of them, and we get them into the services when we find them.
Absolutely.
It's the drug and alcohol that we cannot get them into. Prop 36 has to be funded. We have to have mental health and drug and alcohol facilities to put them into. Now, the alcohol part, the drug part, that's against the law. We can.
Ms. Porter, would you like to respond?
Yeah, I ran a statewide foreclosure and eviction prevention program and sat across from thousands of families who were struggling to hang on to their homes. It's true that some people have mental health issues and substance use issues, but he doesn't have any concrete plans to do more for those, including around building more housing.
I have the only concrete plan.
Excuse me. I was the first Democrat leading a large city to support Prop 36. So I understand the need to be able to get people indoors when they're refusing help and harming the broader community. But Chad is wrong. We don't have enough beds for people. As mayor of San Jose, the third largest city in the state, we have led the way in reducing the number of people living outside by 1/3 by building basic dignified shelter, interim housing, treatment capacity, and requiring that people come indoors when it's available.
Giving them a solid roof instead of a tent
we'll come back to you,
is
Mr.
not
Bianco.
compassion.
Thank you. Mr. Mahan, I want to follow up on that comment. Please. As mayor of San Jose, you tout the accomplishments of reducing homelessness in your city, but in a recent clearing of an encampment called the Jungle, unhoused advocates in your city say you are not keeping promises of providing enough shelter to the more than 100 people in that specific camp. How do you answer critics who say you are forcing people to move without a viable place to go?
Well, Sarah, I've had to take on advocates and interests in my city who have defended the status quo. The truth is we're closing the last large encampment in San Jose, formerly known as the Jungle. We did 50 days of outreach, offered every single person out there interim housing. That's a private room with a door that locks, and we have already moved over half of the people there indoors. We have offered folks a safe, dignified alternative to the streets. But when people repeatedly refuse to come indoors, that's a sign that their addiction, their mental health issue is a problem that they can't get a handle on, and the only compassionate thing to do is to intervene and get them into a safe space.
Could I offer another perspective? As a social worker, I've spent 20 years helping young adults leaving foster care get housing. You know, what I'm hearing from you, Mr. Bianco, is just horrendous. To blame the victims. We have 10,000 teenagers who are homeless.
I actually
in this
blamed
state.
you and your policies.
Well,
not
you can, but if you have any ideas, share them. Otherwise, stop wasting the public's dollars to steal ballots and to try and keep people from voting. And so, as I was saying, reclaiming my time, I'm working on a policy to provide subsidized housing and supports to our homeless teens and to pass a $10 billion bond to build affordable housing for those who are unhoused. That's the work that government's supposed to do.
So, Mr. Bianco, some people might say you're trying to arrest your way out of this problem.
You realize that we didn't have this problem before 2014 in Prop 47. When the government decided to lie to the people, call it safe schools and safe streets, and make drug use legal, make theft legal, and a whole mess of other crimes legal in California. That's why we're here from 2014. You just quick Google search about homeless, and it goes just like this from 2014 till now. That's why we're here, because of failed policies that every single one of them support. If we are not going to, before Prop 47 in 2014, the answer was not arrest. It was we took them to court. I was a drug cop. Take them to court and say, do you want to go to jail or do you want to go to rehab? And the vast majority of them picked rehab. That's what we want. Prop 47 and these failed policies have made my jails the hotbed for mental health and drug addiction care, and that's not what they're supposed to be for, and it's their policies.
The reason your jails are that way is because you shouldn't have to go to jail to get substance abuse treatment. Don't
break the law.
Criminalize the victims.
Don't break the law.
Thank you, Mr. Bianco. So, Mr. Hilton, as the other Republican on stage, do you agree with your colleague, Mr. Bianco, or do you have a completely different approach to this?
You know, hearing this conversation, it just makes me heartbroken, really. We've got this situation in California that is completely unacceptable. This crisis that has gone on for so long, it shames our state. The fact that you've got people living in these conditions, we would never tolerate someone we love living in these conditions. And so we shouldn't accept it at all for people that we don't know. And so we got to have a clear and strong plan. And here it is. Number one, we have to enforce the law. It is illegal to live and camp on the streets. Number two, we have to get people into drug and alcohol treatment. Last year, Governor Newsom vetoed a bill that the Democrats passed in the state legislature, the Sober Housing Act. That is ridiculous. And number three, we need to increase mental health provision so we can take care of people where they should be, in mental health facilities, not in jail.
Thank you. Mr. Becerra, you have said we need to focus on accountability when it comes to the billions of dollars that have been spent already to solve the homelessness crisis. But you also gave Governor Newsom an A for effort on this issue. So my question is, are those billions of dollars well spent or not? You have 45 seconds.
Yeah, and Sarah, let me clarify. I gave the governor an A for effort for his work as governor, not on this particular issue. And what I will tell you is this, that we will not cycle people through the streets and into jails and just see that constant recycling. What we will do is we will build up the treatment facilities that we need. On my watch as HHS Secretary, we launched 988. The program that now is used by millions of Americans throughout the country in the event that they have a suicide ideation, if they are suffering through mental health crises, they can now call and try to get the help that they need. But without a doubt, we have to demand accountability. When we put out a taxpayer dollar, we need to have accountability. And I would say the thing that's been missing in this conversation on homelessness is let's prevent people from losing their home. And I will act as governor to make sure that if you have suffered a loss of job, if you have a medical crisis, that we're not going to watch you lose your home.
Thank you,
we will
Mr.
fight
Becerra.
to help you keep it.
Mr. Villaraigosa, in our CBS California interview, you said we need to have, quote, locked institutions to deal with those on the streets who are dealing with mental health or drug issues. And under Ronald Reagan, many of those institutions were shut down, and you criticized your own party for not bringing them back. So as a former member of the State Assembly, including Speaker, do you bear some responsibility for not having those services in place?
I take responsibility. I was there 20-some-odd years ago, but let's be clear. We spent $24 billion and homelessness went up. And it's true that we need drug rehab. It's true that we need mental health services, and it's true we need housing. The fact is, many of these people are homeless because they can't afford rent. We have the highest rent in the United States of America. So we need an all-of-the-above approach. And what I said was, for those people who are a threat to themselves and others, who their families trying to commit them, and you can't, it's almost impossible to do that. So we need to make the care courts accountable and the counties accountable with them.
Thank you, Mr. Villaraigosa. We have to hear from Mr. Steyer. You have said California's two solutions for homelessness of shelter and long-term housing does not work, and it's too expensive. But yet, you recently gave Governor Gavin Newsom a B- on how he has handled the crisis. If you were giving the governor a passing grade, would you make changes, or would you just follow the same policies? You have 45 seconds.
I absolutely would have new policies. Nobody gets well on the street. And the policy that we have now to get people into permanent housing takes 7 years, and as has been said, has cost $24 billion. The truth is, we need to keep people from getting onto the street by giving them rent assistance when it's close. We need to get people off the street as fast as possible. Only 1 of 7 people who go on the street have some form of mental health problem or drug addiction. Everybody is under amazing mental stress and pressure while they're on the street. That's why I am for emergency interim housing. Get people off the streets, keep them off the streets, and make sure that not only for their sake, because it's more compassionate, but also because we need livable, vibrant, urban neighborhoods where people are safe and like to live.
Thank you. We're going to move on and talk a little bit about wildfires and natural disasters, drought and extreme heat, which most scientists agree is made worse by climate change, have led to a surge in catastrophic wildfires across the state in the last 10 years alone. That includes 2 of the most destructive fires right here in Southern California. We also live in earthquake country. Mr. Becerra, you say you're running on experience. What are the first 3 things that you would do if you were governor and a natural disaster were to strike?
Sarah, we have to stop believing that we can get out of this mess unless we invest in prevention now, so we can avoid paying for failure later. And I would say this, ratepayers have to understand what their risk is so they understand why they are going to pay for help, what they're going to pay for their home insurance. But an insurance company has to be open and transparent about how it's pricing its policies so people can afford it. If you're going to buy a home in a wildfire risky area, you should know what your insurance rates will cost.
So, Mr. Becerra, what are those first 3 things? If the fire's starting now, what are your immediate reactions?
Well, as I did when I was Secretary of Health and Human Services, where I declared disasters, I will go in and we will deploy our personnel and our resources to help those counties and those cities address the needs of those families immediately. We will make sure that when they file their claims, the insurance companies are responsive immediately, and we will make sure that we have the first responders that are necessary to make sure we deploy them where they're needed immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. Mr. Bianco, the flames are rising and the winds are blowing. What are the first 3 things you would do as governor?
Well, that's too late by then. That's what we don't want. Why are we talking about after instead of the root causes? The root causes were not because of climate change. The root causes, ask anyone, ask the insurance companies. They told Newsom for 5 years that this was going to happen because of failed environmental activism policies that do not allow the clearing of brush and the fuel for these fires before they take over cities. This is 100% done by failed policies in California. The Palisades fire.
The question, sir, is what are you going to do today? We're sitting in Claremont on the base of the San Gabriel Mountains. If a fire breaks out tonight,
he doesn't have any ideas. He doesn't know what to do.
Sir, I'll answer the question. I've been protecting you for my entire career. From policies that you have made, that every single one of you have made, that I have suffered the consequences while I've been trying to keep them safe, working hand in hand with the fire department for 33 years. And you know who's not being asked? The fire department, because the fire department will tell you, CAL FIRE and every city and state agency will tell you that it is government policies that do not allow them to fix before in the off-season. And
I can answer that question.
Thank you, Mr. Bianco. Mr. Mahan, what are your first actions as governor?
As a mayor of a big city, I've gone through emergencies. You declare a disaster. You set up an emergency operations center.
After.
You allow. Yes, that was the question, Chad.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't, Matt.
Just to finish the point.
Then let's go to that, because that was not the question. The question was, here comes the fire.
Mr.
What are you going to do?
Please, Mr. Bianco, you had your time, Mr. Mahan.
That wasn't the question.
I'd love to just answer the question, which is you set up that emergency operations center. You let first responders and professionals lead, but you provide the communications backbone. You assure the public. You are out there every day backing up your public staff in the delivery of services. I also need to make another point, though, which is that Javier Becerra keeps touting his experience and then says he's going to study something. He'll figure it out once he's elected. The secretary has never met a crisis that he couldn't ignore, whether it was migrant children, the 85,000 who were lost, monkeypox, where we were slow to respond and then blamed the gay community for the crisis, or COVID, where the Biden administration had to sideline them. So I think we should be really clear about what kind of experience we need. It's experience that has delivered results for people.
Mr. Becerra, you'd like to respond?
Oh, absolutely. You're not wearing a mask, are you, Matt? You are not worrying about catching monkeypox, right? We were able to deal with these crises. And remember, what we did was we addressed them with the 50 states nationally, and we deployed the resources and the personnel that were needed. We got out of these crises. Today, the economy is not worried about COVID because we made sure that 700 million COVID vaccines went into the arms of Americans, and never once did anyone, whether you're insured or not, have to worry about whether or not you'd have to pay for them. And even those who provided deceptive information about the vaccines got the vaccines.
Thank you, Mr. Becerra. Mr. Villaraigosa, you wanted to get in on this one.
Yes, I also was a mayor during some big fires and big disasters. What would I do as governor, though? Let me be clear. We got to expand CAL FIRE. We do have to do a lot more with prescribed burns. We got to fix the insurance crisis, because the people that were affected by this fire, aren't able to replace their homes. We got to do an all of the above strategy that understands that climate change is here and it has exacerbated it, but we can mitigate those changes with the right decisions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Steyer, since they brought up insurance, you had backed the Affordable Insurance and Climate Recovery Act, which authorized the state attorney general to sue fossil fuel companies for damages linked to climate disasters to help blunt rising insurance costs. But that initiative actually failed last week in the Senate Insurance Committee. So how would you as governor advance that? You have 45 seconds.
Advance what?
The Insurance and Climate Recovery Act that you backed.
Okay, so let's be clear. The oil companies have been polluting and knowingly polluting for 45 years. It has caused great damage to the people of California. In fact, it is a reason we're getting warm, and it is a reason we've had these fires that have dramatically hurt people in Altadena and Pacific Palisades.
So you were causing great damage while you were investing in them?
Excuse me?
So the fossil fuel companies were causing great damage while you were investing in them?
And so it is time that that act which I was pushing is the idea that they should pay back for polluting. In environmentalism, I have 3 real rules. Number 1 is polluter pays. It's absolutely critical that if people are going to pollute and damage the environment and cause harm to their neighbors, they pay. 2, we have to include environmental justice in every single environmental rule. And 3rd is we need to start to deploy all of the clean energy stuff that's cheaper now and get us back to the front of the world in leading it. It's true the fossil fuel companies are still providing gasoline to us at inflated prices. We need to make them pay for the costs that they have had, including all the houses that burned down.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Starr.
the insurance costs that people are paying to insure those houses.
Thank you, Mr. Starr. Ms. Porter, you would like to react?
Yeah, in Congress, I had a track record of making polluters pay, raising the royalty rate for a rental rate and royalty rate for those who drilled, raising bonding requirements to make sure polluters clean up their mess. But you now want to talk about polluters pay, but really I think what we should be asking you is how about profiteers pay? You paid the lowest tax rate on this stage, and yet you made the billions that you're using to fund your campaign off fossil fuels.
So let me say this. In this campaign, there is one person that the corporations are going after, including big oil, who is spending millions of dollars to stop me. The electric monopolist, PG&E, millions of dollars to stop me, because I'm the person on this stage who's the change agent. I'm the person who's going to drive down costs for the people of California by taking on the special interests. And they are spending tens of millions to stop me. That's how you know I'm for real. Because
Thank you, Mr.
they
Steyer.
think I'm for real, and they're spending tens of millions of dollars to stop me because they're scared of me.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Mr. Hilton, we didn't forget about you. In your 2002 book, Good Business, you argued for corporate responsibility, and with Prime Minister Cameron, whom you advised, he campaigned on a green platform. Yet, you have accused California officials of climate hypocrisy. What specifically would you do as governor to help reverse the trend of these increasing wildfires?
So Chad made some very good points on prevention, and I'd just like to build on that. If you look at one of the really bad years for wildfires in recent memory, 2019, the mega wildfires we saw then produced more carbon emissions than the previous 20 years of climate policy actually saved. So if we want to reduce carbon emissions and protect against wildfires, and by the way, revive our timber industry so we can produce timber for building the homes we need in California, there's a very simple common sense way to do it, which is to have modern forest management so we don't have the fuel load in our forests, we can create jobs and opportunity in rural California, and reduce carbon emissions in the process because we won't have the mega wildfires.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton.
Okay, so now let's go to our student question. Joining us now is Dante Gilbert from Pomona College with a question, a lightning round question on immigration. Dante?
Hello, my name is Dante Gilbert. I'm an American Studies student from St. Paul, Minnesota. So California is a sanctuary state, and yet states are limited in the way they can respond to federal ICE and Customs and Immigration. ICE forces. In Hennepin County, Minnesota, local law enforcement has begun to bring charges against ICE agents for assault. As governor, would you support district attorneys bringing such charges against federal agents?
Thank you, Dante. Yes. This is a yes or no question. We're going to go down the line. Mr. Thurmond?
Yes.
Mr. Bianco?
No.
Mr. Steyer?
Yes.
Mr. Hilton?
No.
Mr. Becerra?
Absolutely.
Ms. Porter?
Yes.
Mr. Mahan?
Yes, if they violate the law.
And Mr. Villaraigosa?
2 yeses.
Thank you, folks. And finally, people are looking for hope. Why should they trust that you will deliver that hope? You have 30 seconds, please. We'll begin with Mr. Villaraigosa.
When I became mayor, I said, dream with me. I'd improve our schools, and we had a 60% increase in the graduation rate. I said, dream with me, we'll make the city safer, and crime went down 48%. I said, dream with me, we'll build the subway to the sea, and that subway is getting built. Go with me because I want to be transformational, because I understand that the crisis we face in this state is too great, and that we have to take on powerful interests to fix this crisis. I'd be honored to have your support.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Thurmond.
A better California is possible. Tonight you've heard me be very specific about the policies that I would bring forward. My 18 years of experience as an elected official, 20 running nonprofits, my vision for the state: we can build 2 million housing units. We will tax billionaires. We will provide a tax credit to working people to have more money in your pocket to pay for the rising cost of gas, groceries, and housing. We will have single payer, and we will fight back on Donald Trump's reckless immigration policy and elect someone with the lived experience who understands those who are struggling in our state. I fight for the working people, and that's what we'll do as governor.
Mr. Mahan.
Voters can trust me, and I will give them hope because I know what it looks like to achieve the American dream in California, and I know it's closed off to far too many. As mayor of the third largest city in California, I've led us to build thousands of new homes, reduce crime by over 20%, gun violence by over 70%, and we have 1/3 fewer people living on our streets. And I've done that without raising taxes, with a balanced budget, and when necessary, by challenging the establishment within my own party. That's what leadership looks like.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Porter.
Californians can trust me because I'm the only candidate on this stage that refuses corporate donations. The only one. That's because I'm willing to take on the status quo. I'm willing to go against the grain and fight for a better California. I am not for sale, not at any price. I'm a single mom of 3 teenagers. I worry that that one kid is never going to get off my couch and get into a home. I'm somebody who's concerned about childcare because I've paid the bills and I've gassed up my minivan.
Thanks, Ms. Porter. Mr. Becerra.
I grew up in a home of working parents, and I saw what it was to struggle. I know what we need today. We need to fight for the hardest working and the lowest paid. We have to fight for the next generation so they can believe that they will have the opportunity to afford to buy a house. But here's what else I know. The governor's office is not a place with training wheels. You need people who have experienced those challenges, have dealt with national crises, who have taken on the biggest menace in Washington, D.C., sued him over 120 times, and defeated him. I'm going to fight for the hardest working and lowest paid and those young people who need to buy that house.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bianco.
Yeah, every single person on this stage is either a career politician, a career strategist, or use the money to support them that brought us to this position today of the hour and a half that you're never going to get back. Everything in California is broken because of their policies, and I've spent 33 years of irrefutable service to the public with transparency, honesty, integrity, and most important, leadership. And that is what this state is desperately deserving. I'm sorry that you have been lied to for most of your life.
Thank you, Mr. Bianco. Mr. Steyer.
So the problem in California is people can't afford to live here anymore, can't afford to buy a house, and aren't getting the education they deserve. And in order to change that, we're going to have to take on the corporate special interests that are driving up your costs and profiting off you. I am the person who is willing to do that. I am the change agent, and you know it because they're spending money against me in the tens of millions of dollars. And the people who support me are progressives, environmentalists, and unions, including teachers and nurses. If you want change, there's only one person on the stage they're scared of.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hilton.
So I'd like to go back to Chloe's question, which I'm afraid I didn't have the chance to answer. Chloe, you nailed it. We've got to be a state again where we build things, just as in the golden age of California, where we built the magnificent suburbs of Southern California, the UC campuses, incredible infrastructure. I've got the broad experience to get that done, most of my career in business, but also working in government, the deep policy expertise, detailed plans, and also building a team to get it done so we can make our state golden again.
Thanks so much. Thanks again to all of the candidates for joining us for the CBS California Governor's Debate.
Have a great night, everyone.